Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for a video that we can only do once a year, reacting to my Premier League predictions. All football YouTubers do this one. Even though we're a Chelsea channel, I always do my Premier League predictions on this channel as opposed to like GBFC2, which I don't really use at the moment, but I always like to do it because we get to put Chelsea somewhere between the rest. And this is probably, in all of my years of making YouTube videos, the year where I've done the worst. I'm going to show you the graphic right now. This is what I thought the Premier League table was going to look like. I had Liverpool as the winners, City second, Spurs third, Chelsea in fourth, which, as a Chelsea fan, that's not actually that high. But it is 8 places higher than we actually finished, which when we actually think about how bad this season has been, I was thinking I was being negative. I was thinking I was pessimistic when I said Chelsea would only finish fourth. You know, we had Thomas Tuchel there. We had a poor pre-season. We had a couple of alarming results. Arsenal I had in 5th. I had United 6th, West Ham 7th, Newcastle in 8th, Leicester in 9th, Aston Villa 10th, Brentford 11th, Leeds 12, Palace, Everton, Brighton, all the way down in 15th, Wolves, Bournemouth, Forest, Southampton, and Fulham. So Fulham are plus 10 in terms of their final finish above where I said they were going to be. The only 2 teams here that I even got within 1 place is top and bottom. I knew that Southampton would go down, and I knew that City would be in the top 2. But I did think Liverpool would win the Premier League. So Man City finished 1 place higher than I had them to finish. And then Southampton also finished 1 place higher than they had to finish. I'm going to have a coffee because this is basically my football credibility. Whatever it is that exists has been flushed. It's gone. Absolutely gone. But I think when you look at my predictions here, I could rationalise why at the start of the season I put all of those teams where I put them. If we start at the bottom, Fulham, we've often seen them go up and then go straight back down. Southampton, I thought that their time was up. I thought that the signings they made were poor in terms of too many young players, didn't really prioritise the positions they needed. Forest, newly promoted team, they did nearly go down. They finished 2 places higher in the end, and after all of that money that they spent, the graphic with the transfers, this wasn't at the end of the transfer window. This was what I thought come the start of the season. So there was still a lot of business to be done. Forest spent a lot of money, and I think sometimes in the Premier League, you can spend a lot of money, and because you spent a lot of money, it will work in your favour because you bring in quality players. For example, Navas. What a signing Navas was for Nottingham Forest. In games where Forest were bombarded, he would make the big difference. He'd make enough saves because of all of that experience to keep them in the Premier League. Whereas Chelsea, on the other hand, we spend all of that money, and like I said in yesterday's video, we didn't profile the exact type of player that we needed. We didn't sign players that, well, we technically did. We bought players that Thomas Tuchel wanted, and then we end the season having had 3 different managers and now another one in charge. So all the signings that Chelsea made, in comparison to Forest, who, weirdly, Nottingham Forest had a better season than Chelsea, even though Chelsea finished 4 places ahead of Forest. That in itself is a madness. Forest come up from the Championship, finish only 4 places below Chelsea. Nottingham Forest, what do? They stuck with their manager. Many times during the season when promoted clubs were sacking their managers or thinking about doing so, clubs near the bottom sacking their managers, hiring, firing, Steve Cooper stays in charge of Nottingham Forest throughout the whole season, and that persistence and that belief in a system, belief in the players that were brought in, ends up paying off. Whereas with Chelsea, you make all those signings, you're trying to fit them all in, you've got different managers coming in with different ideas, you've got the issue about wages, and certain players knowing that if Champions League football isn't achieved, there's a wage drop coming next season. In the back of my mind, if I know that what I'm playing for is still going to get me my wages decrease next season, I'm not as motivated. And this isn't me trying to dig Chelsea, who have finished 12th in the Premier League. I'm not trying to dig these players out here by saying, well, I would have done the same. That's not how football should be. Football shouldn't be about playing because you've got a bonus to try and reach. You shouldn't be playing to try and just keep hold of your wages because next year they're going to go down. And I think as much as it does make sense, the structure of these new contracts that Chelsea have been offering, I do also think it could be a hindrance when it comes to Chelsea looking for players to drag us from 12th, to try and look towards what my prediction table says here, to try and put Chelsea back in that top 4 conversation. When it becomes a battle where we're climbing up a hill, as much as I don't agree, I can kind of see how certain players never manage to up their level. I'm going to do another video talking about all of the comments that Frank Lampard has made about these Chelsea players moving into the Pochettino era very soon after this video. But as we look at, let's go with the top 4. We're going to kind of do this one in a weird little order, but Liverpool had a poor season, but again, different to Chelsea. When things really mattered, at least they clawed back some kind of form to drag themselves into some kind of race. Even if they couldn't reach the top 4 with the last game of the season, Liverpool looked as though at one point they were next to us. Liverpool and Chelsea were both down in like 8th or 9th, languishing in places they shouldn't be. And Chelsea's heads just went down, and Jurgen Klopp managed to drag those Liverpool players to at least fight. And I think my frustration as a Chelsea fan is we are unhappy as Chelsea fans if Chelsea is 6th. If we're 6th, it's a bad season. The fact we're in 12th, and towards the end it could have gone as low as 14th, and the fact that we managed a win somewhere and a draw here and there, like we somehow managed to finish in 12th, when the reality of the situation is it was that bad that by the point we're in 12th, it doesn't matter if we're 16th. We have just admitted that we have had the worst season that we could have possibly ever had. You've got Everton once again struggling, surviving on the final day of the season. I feel as though with Everton, this could be the last season where we see them fighting until the death. I don't think they're going to go down. I think now they've got Sean Dyche. He's kept them up, a bit like Lampard did last season. But I think with Dyche, if they give him a summer, I'm saying if they back him, this is Everton. They have back managers, but they have profiled so badly. And I'm going to be using that phrase a lot because when I look at the Premier League table as to where it's finished, you've got some teams in there. You've got the likes of Brentford, Fulham, who play good football. It's a gamble if you're coming up from the Championship to play in a certain style that isn't just fight for our lives and try and stay up. Brentford did it under Thomas Frank the first season, vindicated again in the second season. They've improved. They have beaten so many of the teams near the top of the table. Fulham as well play some absolutely fantastic football, played the same way they did in the Championship, didn't alter things the way that we've seen a Norwich City, West Brom's do in the past, and they managed to stay up, and they've been one of the most difficult sides to beat. Yes, some of the big teams have gone there, got big wins, but Brentford in particular, so difficult to beat. Newcastle, when I look at my predictions, I did not see Newcastle managing to break the mould of the Big Six. I thought Spurs would still be in there. The job that Eddie Howe's done, in my opinion, Guardiola should get manager of the season because I think as long as a team wins the league, then the manager should probably win the manager of the season because he's managed to lift the trophy. De Zerbi at Brighton, what an incredible job as well. I thought Brighton were going to struggle this season, and that was at the beginning of the season when they still had Graham Potter. So to think that, okay, if Graham Potter would have stayed at Brighton, let me know in the comments, where do you think they would have finished if Potter didn't go to Chelsea, therefore De Zerbi didn't go to Brighton? Do you think Chelsea might have finished ahead of Brighton if that was the case? Just hypotheticals, a what-if situation. Newcastle, for me, outstanding. Brighton, outstanding. Spurs, I said it in the predictions video. I was talking about the Antonio Conte effect. And in the end, The Antonio Conte effect is he is a significantly bigger manager than Tottenham are a football club. Tottenham have managed to get Harry Kane scoring 30 goals, yet no one's talking about Harry Kane scoring 30 goals. And why is that? It's because the team at the top of the Premier League table, the team I didn't think were going to win it again, because I thought that Liverpool would push them just that bit further. But what this tells me is that what Man City have is an incredible manager. They've brought in the best striker in world football, 36-goal Erling Haaland. He was the difference. He was the difference. With Liverpool, they lose Sadio Mane, and the Jurgen Klopp effect only took effect at the end of the season to challenge for the top 4. So money talks. Money does talk. But in Chelsea's case, it's embarrassed us. And I think, obviously, as a Chelsea channel, the biggest talking point is I thought Chelsea would finish 4th, which for a Chelsea fan at the start of a season is a low prediction. But we finished 12th. And the difference is Man City just know everything about what they're bringing in. They've spent smart. They've spent a lot, but they've spent smart. Calvin Phillips, poor signing, but still, towards the end of the season, he's having a party. And his other team that he signed from have gone down. Madness. But anyway, let me know what you think of this video. When I look at the gaps in terms of like where teams have finished higher or lower, I got this one so wrong. And I think next Premier League predictions we do at the start of next season, I'm going to have to think about this a lot more, because I did not see this season panning out the way it did. Leicester have gone down as well. I thought they were going to flip and finish 9th. I got it so wrong. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Come on, you Blues.